Sheldon will just be with the trainers.
Okay. And then Orlando?
Same.
Okay. But they'll be working separately with the...
Yeah, they won't be practicing today.
If you had to go without Alex, what would the plan be? Is it one you would share with us here? Or?
No.
Do you think that Matt Lee could play guard? Can he rep that guard at all?
I think we'll just get through the week with and see where we're at with Cap,
How do you feel like Matt Lee's developed this year?
Good. We're getting him on the field. He's been a big Y in some of those sets. And so, again, I think that's the only way, really, you can get a guy on the field and start to get him to feel those game-like conditions. Works really hard on the scout team. Does a good job with Frank and Frage, off the field, learning it all. His approach.
You also think he could primarily as a guard, or do you think he could potentially have a center?
Matt Lee?
Yeah, as a center as well at some point.
Yeah, he's got to play both. He plays a lot of center on our scout team.
Proper AFC North December football weather Saturday evening?
We'll see. We'll see where it sticks at, this far away. But obviously anticipating a cold one. And that seems to be, where things trend. And it can change as we get closer, but that's what we'll be ready for.
What's this rivalry been like for you over the years against Cleveland? What makes us so...
Never easy. Tough team, well coached, ton of talent. When you just look at that defense from top to bottom. And then offensively, they've had tons of playmakers, and I think they got a really good coaching staff. And so, again, you go in there, and there's nothing easy about it. Always tough, hard-fought games, and one we got to be ready for.
You all face a lot of edge rushers throughout the season, always do. What do you feel like Miles is at this year compared to the guys you face?
Yeah, I try not to rank him and make him mad. He's as good as there is in the world. He's a real problem. You don't play him for 7 weeks, and then you watch the tape again, you feel like he's gotten better somehow. And so, again, he's a big part of their defense. He makes them go. You got to do everything you can to not allow him to get into a rhythm, but he's a premier player in this league.
Is it kind of like Dallas? You had to look for 11 and make sure you had him taken care of?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've played him. We've always played him. He obviously didn't play in the last game last year when they were in it, but he's tough. He's tough, and he's capable of moving around, and he's got a lot of different moves, and he's as good of an athlete as there is, and so he's tough.
Has he been moving around as much lately?
He's got the ability to. I think it goes game to game on where he wants to be and what the situation is.
When you face a team that's made a quarterback change, do you have to go into it with the assumption that they could switch back if things don't go well, or can you not game plan that way?
Sure. It's you got to just plan for their offense. Their scheme is what shows up. Dorian's played some. Played some against us, obviously, and so again, you're preparing for the scheme, preparing for their playmakers. Anytime they make a change, you got to be ready for anything. You got to look at what his strengths are and be ready to play to that as well.
What would the significance be in winning 3 in a row this stage of the year? How big would that be for you just in general?
For us, really, our message right now is just winning 1 in a row. Just focus on this one, and this one is obviously the most critical game we've had at this point. And so we just got to find a way to go 1-0 this week and then move on from there.
Is there anything Chase Brown has done maybe this year or last year that surprised you when you actually took him in the draft and something?
I don't think so. It's again you don't fully know the person until you get him in the building. I love everything he's about. I love his work ethic. Love his attention to detail. Really smart. Great personality. So those are things maybe you don't fully know until you get him in there. But in terms of his explosiveness, his durability, his ability to do a lot of different things for you, that part has not surprised us. I think we certainly had hopes that that's what he would be for us when we took him.
He's clearly a 3-down back. He's proving a 3-down back.
I think he's really improved in protection. And when you say 3-down back, that's what hits my brain is, let's get back on tracks and 3rd downs, and he has done a great job improving there to be able to do that.
Is that about experience? How have you seen him grow?
Yeah, it's experience. He's not the biggest guy, so part of it is understanding how to use your body in those situations, and the technique you got to use, and how to get on guys, and being great with your eye discipline. And so there's a lot of things as you get into this league as a guy who's got to pass protect that you've got to learn, and it takes time. And I think you've seen Chase continue to grow in that area and done a really good job when he's had to step up and protect.
Do you think that's the biggest difference between Chase Brown on September 1st versus
Yes.
now?
Yeah, I do.
Are there similarities that we see with Brown with what you saw for years with Eckler in Los Angeles with the Chargers?
You could. I didn't play Eckler a lot. I think appearances wise, they look similar, so that's a good comparison. And I'd be hesitant just because I didn't cross paths with him as much as maybe some other players in the league.
The fumble against the Giants really seemed to bother Chase Brown. Did you see that as a turning point or an increase in intensity or focus after that?
Well, I think it bothers, everything, helping the team win matters to Chase. And so anytime you do something that can put the team in a tough spot, it's good to see players that are genuinely affected and feel like they didn't do their part. And that's what you felt from Chase in that moment.
Is what he's done in the past game, is that a bonus? What he's done in the past game?
It is.
As far as
That's the best way for our offense to be built, just because of the way we're already built, primarily in the gun. And we throw the ball a lot. We drop back a lot. And, even on our play actions, oftentimes I'm calling a play action assuming that there's a really good chance the ball's going to get checked down. And so when you got Chase in space to be able to get the ball quickly and make people miss, that is a dangerous weapon. I mean, you really hate playing teams where you see the play action, you see the defense slipped, and all of a sudden the ball's out of his hands on a check down. It can be very deflating. And Joe is outstanding at understanding the times to do that. And so to have a weapon like Chase that you get the ball to there, like it's basically an unblocked screen where he's one-on-one with the defender, and it's as good a situation as you can find.
At this point of his second season, where do you see Yoshi Bosch's progress?
I love Yoshi. You can count on him to do everything for you. He can align anywhere. He understands the entirety of the playbook, understands what you're trying to achieve. Knows that the ball just will find him in key moments, and we have so many playmakers to scheme to get the ball to. It's hard to do it for everybody. And so Yoshi is a guy right now, at this point in his career where it's just sometimes the ball progresses to him and he's got to be ready, and he does a great job on the scramble drills. And, a lot of his touchdowns have been getting in phase with Joe late in the down. And so just a very trustworthy player that, when the ball comes to him, he's going to help us the right way. And so proud of the way that he just stays engaged and stays focused and does all the little things that don't get a lot of credit. I think that the team would view Yoshi that way as kind of an unselfish guy that just does what he needs to do to help us win, and knows that his opportunities will come.
Has the emergence of Chase Brown impacted his touches at all?
Impacted Yoshi's?
Yeah.
I wouldn't put a correlation between the two of those, no.
When you're evaluating offensive linemen, especially guys that you're getting mid-season, like both Andrews, Coker, and Stuber, given that you guys are drop back passing, and they might not have been in those kind of systems, how do you evaluate them and move them along so they're ready?
They're going full speed against our D-line. So you watch tackles, they're going against, if you're on the left side, you're going against Trey, full speed. Joseph's going full speed. So those guys are getting full speed reps, and I stand right behind the quarterback on every snap, and so you feel it, you can see it, and you watch the tape, and you get a chance to watch it. And I think Derek Frazier and Frank Pollock do an excellent job coaching the scout team linemen, that are on the practice squad and getting those reps and making sure that they learn all the attention to detail. We try our best when we're in the huddle, running a play against our defense to call it in our terminology with our protection as best we can. So those guys are hearing that stuff and trying to make progress that way.
There's been a lot of time this year spent discussing Joe Burrow's demeanor on the sideline during games, being caught on broadcast, things like that. How much do you care about that stuff with him being the quarterback and the leader of the team, or do you view it all as competitive nature of the game? Things
he's got an edge to him that I balance as a head coach because I'm always trying to lead the entirety of the team and balance things. But he's got an edge to him that is what makes him who he is. And I don't want to change that for 1 second because who he is and what makes him tick is what makes Joe Burrow different from everybody else on this planet. And so, we're together a lot more than any member of my family. And so, again, I love working with him every single day. Love the edge that's about him. It's not always perfect between us when we're out there dealing with moments, but that's just part of the competitive fire that he's got that I love, and wouldn't change a thing about him. And anytime something flares up, we move on and we're quickly past it. But that's when you got a great player who man, winning and doing it the right way is the most important thing to him. That's the best thing you can have from a leader in your football team that doesn't accept anything that's below standard at any moment from anybody. And you're begging. There's teams around the league begging for someone to have that standard, and we've got it. And so you've got to embrace that and keep letting him lead the way for us.
Along those lines, I mean, have you learned something about him? He's never gone through anything quite like this before.
Sure.
Playing out this, not playing out the stream, but being at the end of a tough season. I mean, have you learned a little bit about him in that regard?
I mean, the competitiveness remains unchanged. He's still as driven as I've ever seen him, to make sure that we score points and win the game. That's always remained unchanged from him. His attention to detail and his process is the same, and I think that's what's special about guys like Trey Hendrickson and Jamar and Joe and Sam. You just see a process that is their process. It's why they've gotten to where they've gotten. They know what they need during the week to get to Sunday to be able to be a force. And just as you're around great players, that's what you learn to appreciate is their routine and their discipline and their unwaveringness to stick to that. And you try to get everyone to see that. It's a very clear path to success as a player. And so you try to get everybody to understand that. But you want them to do it their own way and come to it at their own point. And sometimes that comes with experience in the league. But I think we've got great leaders that show those young guys the way to do it.
Joe's always had that edge.
Yeah, he's always had that edge. And I think now, every game that passes, he sees what it takes to win and take this team to a championship level, and he's going to do everything he can to get us there.
Have you seen any young guys change their protocols or their method of preparation based on observing Joe and other guys that do it the way they do it?
Hard for me to say right now as they're young. I think that's something you see over time, over an off season, into a next training camp, and you start to feel that maybe a little bit more. But I think the linemen do a great job with Amarius. He's open ears, taking everything in, and I think he's an example of taking that advice the right way. And again, I'm not with him 24/7, but I get the sense that he's a guy who's listening to the advice of those around him, and that's why he's been able to be a consistent player as a rookie for us that we're counting on.
Zach, piggybacking off this conversation about Joe's demeanor and the competitive fire, which I observed, I think that people seem to like what they saw in that video that made the rounds on Sunday. But are there ever unintended consequences of that? Maybe guys that would prefer to not receive a message in that way. Do you ever observe that competitive edge, has unintended consequences?
No, I think that's when you're on a football team with a lot of people, a lot of players and coaches, you're going to have moments like that where the competitiveness takes over. And I'm sure people see videos and they read into it however they want to read into it. That's part of our daily life in a lot of different ways. And some of it gets on tape, some of it doesn't. But I think the great thing about us is we're always able to work through as a team anything that ever pops up, and leaders take over, coaches take over, and that's why we're able to keep this season on track right now, 2-game winning streak with a lot left to play for.
Last week, Brian Callahan was asked what people don't know about you, and he said how competitive you are. Do you think your attempt to project calm on the sideline obscures maybe how competitive you are?
I can't tell people what to think about what they see from my demeanor. I know why I act the way I act. It's the only way I know how to be. In certain moments, I act certain ways, but during a game, the only way I know how to lead is through calm and try to. It's for myself sometimes as a play caller and managing a team and trying to get the message across, but that's all I know how to do. So if I try to change my demeanor for what I think people want to see from me or a head coach, then I'm going to fail, because that's just not what's gotten me here at this point in my life. And part of my journey is just doing it the way that I've done it, and proud of the way that I've done it here for 6 years the way that I wanted to do it, and we've had success, we've had tough times, and I'm going to continue just to be me. And that would be my message to everybody. Don't change who you are, everyone on our team. You know, there's moments where we can interpret things differently, but you got to be true to who you are, and we'll always work through it. And I think that's what's been so great about our coaching staff is we got a lot of really good people that know how to manage the players, know how to manage each other, know who they are. They're confident in themselves as a man and as a coach, and it's allowed us to weather a lot of stuff.
Do you have to find a balance between, in a situation like the Jordan battle, what happened, and you were pretty stern after the game and saying, like, we can't have that, where you have to go over and talk to him, or do you leave that to your assistants? Like, what's your role in that?
Yeah, there's moments. I know I got cut out of Hard Knocks, but there's moments where you have to address it. You know, and then there's moments you leave it to the assistants, and that's part of the decisions you have to make on a daily, hourly basis. Is what I think early in my time here, you try to do everything. You try to have every conversation, but then you get to a point where you trust the coaches, you trust the veteran players to take care of things. And I hate to say keep it off my plate because I don't like that how that's viewed, but you built trust in other people to understand what we want as an organization and to help keep it on track. And we got a lot of good people in all levels of this building that do an excellent job of that, to where we've got complete faith that we're on the right track to finish this season the right way and in the future be on a great track to have success.
Where did that become unique does for you as a coach? Like, what did you learn that a lot of coaches sometimes that might be unique for them just to be who they are and go from there? What did you kind of learn?
My dad, easily. You know, he was my coach my entire life, and that was his demeanor, and so that's where I get it from.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.